And this way we could always reference back to it. So Roz, what's been going good for you lately this week? What's a win?
I've been hitting my water and my protein. I hit it 3 days in a row. But I went out Friday night. That was bad.
Okay. All right, Debbie said good workouts this week and getting more used to the exercise. Awesome. Love that, Debbie. What's your favorite exercise so far, Debbie? You have to unmute, sorry.
My favorite exercise, the one that you look like you're like starting the lawnmower.
Rose.
Rose.
That's always good. Jerry, what's up, buddy? Tom, you think you have a beard? Look at that guy.
Jerry.
What's up, Tom?
What's up, Jerry?
How you doing,
What's going on?
Stephanie, good
Sorry, I
morning.
couldn't get. What?
I was talking to Stephanie. How you doing, Jerry? Good?
Good.
All right, I'm just going to keep you on mute, and then when I ask to talk, you unmute everybody, okay? So it just keeps it a little bit more solid. So Jerry and Stephanie, I want to know what's been going good for you so far this week. So Jerry, since you're unmuted, you go first. So what's been good this week for you?
My cardio has been good. I actually went back to the gym and had 2 solid workouts.
Okay, awesome. So Jerry works with us remote. So, okay, awesome, man. Good. Stephanie, what about you? Unmute. Let us know what's been going good.
I've been a little bit more consistent with my meal planning. I feel like last week was a little more snacking than I like, and this week I was more on it getting the macros in.
Okay, good. Was it last week snacking not tracking, or was it snacking with the tracking?
Snacking and not tracking.
The bad kind of snacking.
Yes, the bad kind, the hiding it kind.
All right, so we're going to get rolling here. If anybody else is going to hop on, I could always let them in. So we'll get rolling here. So I got a couple things planned for you guys. I want to show you guys a couple things. But first and foremost, I would like to shout out everybody who's here. All of our trainers are here with us today. It's their day off and they're all here. So a huge round of applause for them. Thank you guys for always being here to support all of you guys on here. And of course, there are extensions of me. And without them, we all would not be here now. So thank you all for coming. Huge shout out to all of everyone on here right now, because it's a Sunday, it's nice outside, and you could easily be doing something else, but instead you guys are investing time into your health and fitness. So huge round of applause for you, because that is really, really important. For those of you who are hiding your face, I'm sorry, I'd like to see all the smiles. So if you can unview yourself, no one's watching, it's all squares. We're gonna be looking at the ground with Kristen, but it's okay. There you are. Dina's still shy. Dina just rolled out of bed. All right, where's my outline here? Here we go. All right, and also another huge shout out to Noelle. So Noelle has been with us for a very, very long time. I've talked about Noelle with all of you guys here, how much progress she's made. So I want to shout her out for being on here, because she's gonna talk to you guys in a minute about what has helped her sustain the progress that she's had. And I think that that's gonna help all of you guys really get to that next level. All right, so I want to share something with you first. So we got a couple of things going on. So I want to share this with you. Hold on. Hopefully this works. All right, so this is taken from Instagram, so it's a little messed up, but whatever. So I saw this morning. Let me refresh it. Hopefully you guys can see this. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
so if you could see the screen, so basically, I love this because it says what overthinking looks like. So this kid's like drowning, he's crying, and all he had to do was stand up and he's safe. So we do this all the time to ourselves, right? We overthink, oh my God, my macros, I can't get this in. Oh my God, life is in the way, the kids, what am I doing? Sometimes all you gotta do is just stand up and keep moving forward. We overthink everything when it comes to fitness, all the time. I see it all the time with people. You know, people worry about like the little stuff, when sometimes you just got to take a big step forward and just realize like, hey, all I got to do is like track, you know. But we all are guilty of overthinking. I could think of 100 things that I've overthink throughout the day. So
That's me during my workout right there. Like that could.
But like I said, I think when you are someone who's really pushing and trying to get to the next level, we all overthink it all. Okay, so that was a little reminder for you guys to not just overthink this and just to keep it simple. And that's what we really have tried to do for all of you guys. Just try to keep this simple so that you can go on and fit fitness into your life and not the other way around. Any questions on that? Anything that I think that was a cool little visual. Tom, anything you want to add in, Tom? You look like you got something to say.
All right, now.
All right, awesome. All right, so we're gonna do a little recipe segment. All right, let me share my screen again. So Jamie has so kindly been, Jamie's our little recipe guru. Let me X out this kid drowning here. So Jamie's our little recipe guru. So she put together this little thing for you guys. All right, so I thought this was pretty cool. So Jamie, you want to take it from here? And I'll be quiet, I'll mute myself.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So it's a protein smoothie bowl for anyone who likes smoothies and wants like more of a thicker consistency to like put a spoon in it and actually eat it as like a meal. That's what it looks like.
What's that stuff on top? Is that peanut butter?
That's melted almond butter.
Ah, look at you, fancy.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. So 35 grams of chocolate whey protein, AB of course. 135 grams of frozen triple berry fruits. You can get this at like Stop and Shop. They're really, really good, like in giant bag. 90 grams of unsweetened vanilla almond milk. I use a food processor, but you can use a blender, but the food processor definitely works more efficiently. And then you can top it with whatever you'd like, but I just put granola and almond butter. And a few things that you should know. You can find, like I said before, all of these at Stop and Shop. Don't use more than 90 grams of the almond milk because you want the smoothie bowl to be thick. Because if it's not, then you're just going to be drinking it and it's just going to be a regular smoothie. And you want to make sure you use frozen berries because that'll add to the thickness. And you can get AB whey at either location. Most of you guys already know that.
That was a nice plug, Jamie.
Yeah. And so yeah, it says 343 calories, 29.6 grams of protein, 28.3 grams of carbs, and 12 grams of fat if you add the almond butter. Or you can add like peanut butter or whatever you'd like, but it's a really yummy meal and it is high in protein and full of fiber. So
one of the things that I like with this a lot too is you take a regular protein shake, because that's basically what this is. But basically what you're doing is you're blending it so much, you're making it really, really thick. And this is going to create a lot of volume and it's going to keep you fuller longer. So sometimes it's all about taking the stuff that we're already doing and modifying it to make it last longer. So it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register that you've eaten something. I'm very bad at this. I literally inhale my food. My mom called me a seagull for the longest time because I literally inhale my food. And that's a problem because by the time that food registers to your brain that you ate it, you're still eating. So by taking a regular protein shake, which is essentially what this is, it's a protein shake with blueberries and almonds in it, blueberries and different vegetables, fruits in it. And by blending it up really, really thick, you've extended that time window out that you're going to actually eat this. So this is going to take you a while to eat and it's going to keep you fuller longer. So I love this. I really do. I like this a lot. And again, her tip of using the frozen berries and just a little bit of liquid and keep blending it until it gets really, really thick. Like you should be able to hold it upside down from the blender and it shouldn't drip out. Like that's how thick that you want it.
yeah, and you can use like a smaller spoon. So like having a smaller spoon makes you think that you're eating more than you actually are. I use a wooden spoon because it's like mini, but you can get them like anywhere, like on Amazon or whatever. They're very, very useful.
I make fun of Jamie for that, but that's actually a really good tactic. They use that in bodybuilding the opposite way. If you want to get big, you got to eat like fill the plate up and use like a big plate so everything looks small in it. But if you want to lose weight, it's the opposite. You want to make your food last longer. So I think that was a really cool recipe. And again, like I said, just remembering to make things last longer. That's very hard. You know, they teach you with nutrition that one of the first things you should teach people is to eat slower. Imagine if that's what we focused on the first month. It'd be a little crazy, but you have to kind of keep that in mind too. All right, so I thought that was really, really good. So thank you, Jamie, for that. I just want to see, is anybody have any questions on anything like that? Or has tried anything like that? If you have, just unmute. Oh, there's Dina. All right, so I guess no one has any questions. All right, I want to tell you guys one of the things that I have like kind of planned for you guys. So we're halfway through the weekend. And I made a video about this earlier in the week. The weekend is for the week. That's what I said in the video. And it's true because everybody says yes to everything on the weekend. The weekend's when all of your progress can be lost. And everybody says this to me. It's only one day. It's a cheat day. It's not a big deal. But you can ruin a whole week's worth of progress in one day of eating. So the weekend is for the week. So I want you guys to use this as a reminder to stay strong the rest of the week. You need to have the power and the willpower to say no to certain things so you can say yes later to other things. You know, we've talked about this so many times, like the macros and numbers that you guys are on right now are not permanent. You know, once you get to your goal, the goal from there is to shift into a different phase. And then every phase that we go through, you're going to be going through different macros during that time. So it's not a permanent thing what you guys are doing right now. You're just on a step in your journey. So the major thing is to remember to say it's okay to say no to certain things. So I made a video this week in the group. This week was the NFL draft on Thursday, and I usually have a draft party with my brother-in-law, and we usually order a bunch of food and whatever. So I'm dieting. I didn't want to do that. So I literally just ate at home and then went. And he had no problem with it. We still watched the draft and we still did it. But you got to have that willpower because nobody is going to do this for you. No one. It's all going to boil down to you making these conscious decisions every day. And it's a battle. We all struggle with it. I mean, me and my daughter's communion was yesterday. Laura yesterday, I'll tell you guys a funny story. So Laura yesterday, she ate my kids' food. She ate the chicken nuggets and the French fries. So she literally stole the plate from my son and ate his stuff. Why? Because she figured out that the calories that she was going to have in the meal that she was supposed to have, which was chicken marsala, was actually more calories than the chicken nuggets and the French fries from my son. So my son ate the chicken marsala and she ate the nuggets and the fries. But it goes beyond what we think. You know, like if you're ordering at a restaurant, sometimes you have to look and think outside the box. So you have to be willing to say no to certain things to say yes. So you have to remember that. I want you guys to remember that. We're halfway through the weekend. Remember, like I said, the weekend is for the week. So I want everyone on here to finish the rest of the weekend strong because remember, you can lose a lot of progress in one day. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Laura, do you want to add anything about stealing and your thought process behind that yesterday?
So I didn't do it to like steal from his son's dinner.
Yeah, you did.
But I was thinking about it the whole time, and I figured that the chicken marsala was the best option on the menu. But also, once I saw the chicken fingers and the fries come out, I said, well, that probably has less calories than what I'm gonna have because I know it's gonna be like all oily and all the dressing on it. So I figured if I just have fries and chicken fingers that it would be less calories than that. So that's why I did that. I figured it would be a better choice.
How many calories was it actually? Did you put it in?
Yeah.
Now, how many calories was it less than the marsala that you put in?
Hold on, I could check for you.
And I talk about this all the time too. So the reason why that was probably less calories was because whenever you go out to eat, the vegetables are loaded with oil, loaded. And just because they're vegetables, it doesn't mean it's free. So you need to remember that too. Go ahead.
So the chicken marsala was 970 calories. And then the chicken fingers and fries was 642 calories.
So you see that? It doesn't make sense. You're like, the chicken fingers and French fries, that doesn't make sense. And her meal was probably better than most people's. It's chicken fingers and French fries. You can't go wrong with that. But it just goes to show that when you understand these tactics and everything that we try to teach you, that it really makes a huge difference in your selection of your foods. But you have to be willing to say no to certain things and yes, and be able to think outside the box like that. Go ahead, Jamie.
I'd just like to add something, which I think is important. When you like start getting used to tracking your macros and it becomes more of a lifestyle to you, it's much more enjoyable to go to an event and just be there with the people and not think like, oh, I'm going there to eat a bunch of food. Like it just takes away from your life in general. So it is a lifestyle change and it's just much better going somewhere thinking like, oh, I'm actually enjoying the company around me and not just like thinking about, going because there's really good food there. Like that's just kind of a way that you would want to think about it in the future.
Yeah, temptation's a real thing. It happens. You're out, you're hungry. And remember, when you're dieting and you're trying to lose body fat, your body plays tricks on you. Your mind plays tricks on you. And it's like, oh, you can have a little bit of this. You've been doing okay. You can have a little bit of this. Have a little snack here and there. But remember, that stuff adds up. So you have to be willing to say no and kind of that's why I love, the approach that we give you guys, like flexible dieting, because it gives you guys that structure and that outline. So now you have numbers to reference back to. So you could say, okay, look, I want whatever, the chicken nuggets and French fries, like Laura said, but I have to allocate these numbers toward that. If you're not doing that, then you're just aiming in the dark. And we don't want that for you guys. We want you guys to stay consistent and steady.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like on MyFitnessPal where you could like look at your 7-day like average.
Mm-hmm.
So say like I'm not meeting stuff for like a week, like for like 6 days, I didn't meet stuff, but then it's like, what if on Sunday I have like more because the rest of the week I didn't like meet all my calories?
So yeah, you could do that. So I talked about that in that video. I think it can get a little crazy when you do that like that. That's definitely more of a veteran move. But I talked about that. So for example, like I said, Thursday was the draft. I was supposed to have the draft party with my brother-in-law. So I said no to food on that day. But yesterday was my daughter's communion. And I ate cannolis and I did what I had to do. And I just factored those numbers into my total for the week. So yes, technically, yes. The answer to that is yes. But you don't want to get crazy with that either, because it could get a little confusing that way. It's definitely more of an advanced strategy, but it's definitely something that can be utilized. Absolutely. But that's where also I should talk about this too. Tools. You always got to have tools in your toolbox. So one of the tools that I use on a day like yesterday for me, my daughter's communion, is basically intermittent fasting. I think intermittent fasting has a lot of benefits. It's not magic, but basically what I do is I pool all my calories to have for the rest of the day. So I start out the day really light, just protein, because obviously, as we know, whenever you go out to eat, you're not going to get the amount of protein that you need. So start the day off with just a protein shake. I think I had a Greek yogurt before I left, and then that was it. And then, kind of bank all those calories, save all that food, and then you kind of just eat accordingly. So you got to be able to pull the tools in the toolbox. So like me and Jerry were talking about this the other day. If you know you're going to go to a sporting event or anything like that, that's when you pull that tool out, Jerry. That's when you say, okay, I'm going to I'll have just a protein shake in the morning, and then I'm going to kind of fast the whole rest of the day until I get there, so I can bank all those calories for that meal. And then in that case too, Jerry, if you go over, then you would just bleed those calories into the next day. You're muted, so if you're saying anything, I can't hear you.
I was going to say you bleed into the next day.
Exactly.
My problem is, so like your sister said yesterday at the communion, right? How were you able to figure out the marsala and the chicken fingers? Like the calories and everything?
That's a good question. We were actually talking about this at the table. Go ahead.
I'm always so anal with those apps, and I'm like, okay. And I start guesstimating, and before you know it, it looks like it gets out of hand.
So we were talking about this at the table the whole time before I even decided on having the chicken fingers and fries. So we went with the macros. We typed in chicken marsala, and then we went with the numbers in Olive Garden. And those were the numbers on that meal was pretty close to what we were thinking. Like we also didn't know the size of the chicken or how much oil was in there, but our safest bet was the Olive Garden. And then for the chicken fingers and fries, we just put fries and then chicken nuggets. And then when it came out, I estimated how much was on my plate. So just to be safe, I put like more than it probably was, but I did that on purpose, just in case.
That's what I would normally do. And I'm thinking that your thought process is Olive Garden is probably the worst chicken marsala out there.
Right.
So
Like
you
it probably wasn't that many calories, maybe at
Right.
that place where we were yesterday, but
Right.
Olive Garden's probably the highest. So
Yep.
I just went with that one.
Okay.
And the thing what I like about using the chain restaurants for a lot of these things and those problems when they come up is because the chain restaurants are pretty estimated with the sizes. Like they're pretty standard across the board because that's how they're taught. Okay, it's like even in Chipotle, all right, it's 1 scoop of chicken equals 4 ounces. So I like using the chains for things like that. So I think I forgot what I typed in for the cannolis yesterday. I can pull it up and look, but I think I used like a brand of cannoli. And then that's how I was able to figure out exactly how much it was for 1 cannoli. And then I just kind of went back from there. But you always want to try to reference back to things like that as close as you can get it. And I talked about this in a video too. You're never going to be 1,000%, accurate with what the
That's
number.
what I was gonna say.
It's never going to be right. But you're the main thing is that you're putting it in and you're guesstimating based on that, and you're really trying to plug it in. Because even if you overestimate or even under, you still plugged it in, and in the grand scheme of the week, it's not going to be that much of a big deal. So you got to keep that in mind too. So that was pretty good. So I want you guys to finish the rest of the weekend strong. All right. There's no cannolis for any one of you. I have some left in the fridge if anybody wants some cannolis. But so I want you guys to finish really, really strong. All right. So remember, the weekend is for the week. Okay. All of us here stay strong Monday through Sunday. Okay. Not Monday through Thursday like the regular folk. Even Thursday is a stretch for most people. Okay. So all of you on here are warriors. Remember that. All right. So I want to shift gears here and I want to kind of give the mic over to Noelle. So I'm going to embarrass Noelle for a lot of reasons. 1, she hates being on camera. 2, she is probably one of our most successful clients that we've ever had. Not just for her weight loss, but just the simple fact that she has done phenomenal every day. She's like our star pupil. I could tell Noelle, okay, Noelle, I want you to have 100 grams of carbohydrates by 12 o'clock every day. And by 12 o'clock every day, she would do that. She would, but also life has gotten in the way for her too. And she's been able to mitigate around that and totally make a complete lifestyle change. I don't know if you guys have ever heard her story. So Noelle, I'm going to turn this over to you. First and foremost, I'm very, very proud of you for a lot of reasons, like I mentioned. But I want you to kind of talk about where you were before, what you've tried and done, and then kind of where you are now, and then your biggest tip for success.
Okay. Yes, he knows I hate doing all of this stuff. And this has been one of the biggest lessons for me, is just being able to do this. And I enjoy helping people, and I'm glad I can put it out there, but it makes me very uncomfortable. So let's see, my weight loss journey began when I was a kid. I've always struggled with my weight. I've always had issues. I've always just struggled. I've done everything under the sun, from Weight Watchers to dietitians to diet pills to starving myself to what you name it, I've done it. But about 2 years ago, I think it's about 2 years now, Anthony opened up this lovely gym that I used to drive by every day, and it's literally around the corner from my house. And I just passed it. It said like personal training. I'm like, that's so not for me. I had one bad experience with my brother when I was young in a gym with weights, and that was it for me. I mean, I would do aerobic classes, but weightlifting was never, ever going to happen for me. But lo and behold, I kept walking past it and driving past it. And one day I actually walked through those doors shaking in my pants, and sat down with Anthony, and I looked at him and I was like, no way I could do this. This is so out of my element. But he kind of put that smile on his face and explained the whole process to me and talked me into giving it a whirl. And I left there and said I would give it a little try, but didn't believe anything would work. Went the first time for a workout, practically cried, couldn't walk home from the gym. I did not understand anything about protein. I was like, this is ridiculous. I would never drink a protein shake, and I don't know how I could eat all this protein, but I'll see what I can do. I'll try. I feel like I'm getting off track already.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. So after my first workout, I did literally cry because I could barely walk home from the gym. And then for the next couple of days, I was dying. I just said, I can't live like this. I'm a grown woman with kids and a family to take care of, and I can't put myself through this pain. But I had signed on, so I went back, did another workout, was really trying to figure out the whole protein and macros and stuff, which was very difficult at the beginning. I just didn't, it seemed like way too much food. I was always somebody who starved myself. I never realized I was not eating enough calories most days, except when I binged, and then I was eating too many calories, and I didn't understand how important protein was. So it was really, really tough in the beginning. But I went, and about the second or third week, well, the second week, I really started to feel amazingly different so quickly. I was like, wow, I can't believe I have energy. I think on week 2, like people at work started saying things to me like, you look different. You look different. Wow. And it was just from that moment on, this process like connected. And I had this revelation one night that if this is going to work, I have to give it 110%. And while I didn't believe that it was fully going to work, I finally said to myself, the only way I can prove this is to do everything Anthony tells me to do. And then I'll prove him wrong, but at least I gave it my 100% shot. And I really got it in my head, and I started doing everything he said. I figured out the protein. I wrote everything down. I did my workouts. I drank my water. And it was unbelievable. In the shortest amount of time, I made more progress in a month than I had made in my whole entire life in any other diet I had tried. And that's no joke. And it just continued and continued, and the workouts started getting better. I didn't, after the first month, I didn't almost cry every time I walked in the door because I was so scared. I started to like really figure it out and not be so afraid to say, I don't know how to do this, or help me do this, or I'm going to try it even if I feel like I look like an idiot doing this exercise. And it just connected. And now it's been almost 2 years. I've never, ever made it to a goal. And with Anthony, I made my first goal. I made a new goal. I made that. I made a second goal. I made a third goal. I made a fourth goal. And I hit every single one of them. And at year 2, I'm still maintaining them. And along the way, there's been a lot of bumps. And along the way, and Anthony knows, the last 3 months for me have been harder. Maintenance has been harder than losing it for me. And, but it's the journey I'm on, and I'm figuring it out. And I have bad days and I have bad weeks from day one. The first year I was doing this, when I was in the middle of losing all my weight, I went on like 3 vacations that year. I've never been on 3 vacations, but my husband and I had all these things going on. I went to Disney. I went to New Orleans. I went to Niagara Falls with friends, and I was still able to lose weight because I figured it out. And I still was able to. Anthony knows I love my wine. I love my Cosmos. I love to go out and have a good time. And I figured it out, and I still managed to make it work and lose weight, even coming home from vacations. And I made sacrifices along the way. You know, when we went to Disney, I packed my lunches. My family all bought lunches, but I brought mine with me. I made a sandwich, and I brought a yogurt, and I had my protein drink. But that was my sacrifice, because then at night, if I wanted to have an ice cream or I wanted to have wine, I could do it. Yeah, so that's kind of my story. And the biggest thing Anthony taught me, one of the biggest things in the beginning, and he keeps saying this now in a little bit of a different way, but you have to be willing to say no. But in the beginning, he said to me, nothing is off limits. You can have anything you want, which was new to me, because usually in a diet, you sacrifice everything. You give it all up. You give up your bread, you give up your wine, you give up your fried food, whatever. And once he said you could have anything, you just have to fit it in and decide if you want it, have it, but fit it in. I started going places, and I was like, you know what? I could have that cake, but I don't want it. But I used to be like looking at the cake going, oh my God, I really want that cake, but I can't have it, But once I could have it, I didn't want it. It was like life changing. I'm like, okay. So now I can have whatever I want. I just figure out how to have it in my day or my week, and it works.
Awesome. So Noelle, I want to ask you a question, actually. So can you talk about, because you've maintained about 60 pounds of weight loss. That's a lot of weight to like keep off and lose, first and foremost. But you've been struggling recently, which we've talked about. You just kind of said that. So what has been how have you been able to kind of snap back? Like, what has been the thing that pushed you right back?
Well, I mean, I always in my head, and it's a daily, weekly struggle still. I mean, I definitely put back a little weight, and I'm trying to I'm still under where I'm comfortable with, but it's a daily struggle. And most of the time I just have to go back to, again, in the beginning, you had said to me something like, you have to have your why has to be really strong. Why are you doing this? And it can't be just because you want to look good in a bathing suit for the summer. You have to have a really strong why. And for me, two things. I had been at the doctor in the beginning, and I was diagnosed with early onset osteoporosis, and I didn't want to. I mean, I was 50 at the time. I was like, I don't want to have to be struggling this. My mom was never in shape. She was always overweight, very unhealthy, smoker, whatever. But she had osteoporosis, and she broke so many bones later in her life and struggled. And I just didn't want to, I don't want to be that. I can't. I have to be healthier for me, for my family, for my life. And I just always in my head keep going back to that. You know, being strong and not suffering like my mom suffered her whole life because she didn't take care of herself. I can't do that, and I won't do that. So it always comes back to that. So when I start struggling and I've slipped, yes, I gained like 8 pounds in the last 6 months or something. It comes back to that struggle, and I'm like, okay, get it together. You remember what you're doing this for, and just keep chugging along.
Yeah, awesome. You know, and you said a couple of things that I want to highlight. You know, she said, find your why. And that's very, very important, because without your why, you know, you're never going to get there. You can't just be doing this. Okay, I want to look in the bathing suit. It's got to be a deeper reason than that. And it's probably my fault for not drilling you guys on this question right away when I speak to you guys the first time. But it gets uncomfortable for a lot of people to really dig down and find out why. Why do you want to look in the bathing suit? Because I don't want people looking at me. Why don't you want people looking at me? Because I feel uncomfortable with my clothes. Why? Why do you feel uncomfortable? Because I just hate the way my stomach looks. Why? Because my husband doesn't like the way, because I feel like my husband doesn't like my stomach. You know, you have to like really ask yourself why. You know, kids are really good at this. Kids ask usually 5 whys. Daddy, can I do this? No. Why? Because you can't do that. Why? Because. So kids are really good at asking why. You have to ask yourself why. So for me, I'll tell you my why, and I'm not afraid to open up here and may tear up. But why is my why? Why do I always work out? Why am I consistently been doing this for years on end? Why? Well, when I was younger, I was really skinny, and I was very, very self-conscious of myself. I would wear 2 t-shirts in the pool, even though I was skinny, because I hated the way I looked. Well, why? Why did I hate the way I looked? Because I felt like I wasn't, I was just embarrassed of myself. Why was I so embarrassed of myself? Because probably because my dad never noticed or took care in any part of it. So it probably has like a psychological thing with that. So it's for me, my why is always trying to improve myself, to kind of prove to myself that I can do better, because I had no one else to kind of say, hey, Anthony, good job. So that's like my why. That's why I don't stop. That's why like this is drilled down. So you need to find your why. You know, like I never asked Laura, why does she do it? I don't know if she wants to share it, but like, what's your reason why? You know, Debbie, what's your reason why? What's that deep why? You know, I'm Dina, what's yours? Kristen, Ross, what's your why? Why is it so important? Jerry, why? You know, you have to really think about that, and really.
I can answer that right now. That's easy.
But you really just want to, like I said, dial that in and figure out that why and hold on to that. And that why will give you the strength to say no when you need to, and have the willpower when you want to, and force you to hit your numbers, and force you to hit your protein when you don't feel like having another shake or more protein. And then the other thing that she said too was staying consistent. You know, that was something that I think is vital. You have to stay consistent. You fall off, it's okay. You just pick yourself right back up. Like that kid that was drowning in the video before. You know, it's okay to kind of feel like you're slipping. You know, like Noelle had a lot of things going on, especially recently within the past year. And I think that, you know, it's tough to stay consistent when bad things happen in life, but you just got to do it. And that's why we really try to make it as simple as hitting your protein, hitting your carbs, hitting your fat. and just focusing on those 3 things and not losing sight of everything else. Just focus on those 3 things. Don't worry about what you're eating. Just hit those 3 things and do it every day. Keep it simple and stay accountable to that.
And really, when you fall off the wagon, just get right back on it. Like for me and for most people I know, you have a bad weekend and then you're like, whatever, I don't really care anymore. Like, I don't care. Why should I care? Nobody else cares. My husband loves me fat or skinny. He loves me no matter what. It's over. Let's just move on. And then you just give it all up, and there goes all your progress forever. But listen, and Anthony knows I've been saying it a lot lately. You fall off the wagon, you just get back on. It's so you had a bad week or you had a bad month. Like, you start over. Every day you can start over. You're not prepared for 3 days because you didn't get to go food shopping. Go food shopping and then make sure you're prepared for the rest of the week. Because it's really hard to make it life. You just have to keep remembering.
Yeah, and again, like she just said too, if you let that keep spiraling out of control, then now you're, instead of being, okay, I was bad 2 days, now that spirals into a week, a month, and then you've lost all this ground that you've built up. So I think you need to keep that in mind too. So Noelle, thank you so much for sharing that story, your story. Again, I talk about you all the time. I wish I could have you with me when I talk to people, because it's a lot more powerful coming from someone like you, who, like you've said, you've done it all and you've achieved it. So super proud of you. And again, thank you so much for coming on here and stepping outside of your comfort zone again.
You're welcome.
Again. All right, so does anybody have any questions? I kind of want to make this like an open Q&A. So does anybody have any questions for Noelle? I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them. Any questions at all? If you do, just unmute and just try to be mindful of others. So if anybody has any questions, then you can unmute now. Or comments, questions, concerns, things they're struggling with. Any questions for Jamie, Tom? Go ahead. You could just unmute and ask.
My question is like, on a day where I'm running around and I want to eat healthy, but I want to stop somewhere for a quick bite to eat, like whether it be anywhere that's like along the road, like, do you have any suggestions? Like what would fit within the diet and also be something quick?
Go ahead, Jamie.
I think this was mentioned before, but those, like, I don't know what you call it, but like food chain restaurants, most of them are on myfitnesspal, like Chick-fil-A, Chipotle sometimes. Like you just have to like type it in before you go there and just see if you can find like a meal you like and track it, and then it's as easy as that.
Yeah, it really is. So if you want to stop at the bagel store and just get whatever, I don't know, whatever it is, same thing. You just plug it into myfitnesspal, and I like to break up the ingredients sometimes. So if you can't find what it is, say it's bacon, egg, and cheese. I don't know. It's just bagel store. That's what I associate that with. So bacon, egg, and cheese, I would put in everything separate. So the bagel, how many eggs? So 2 eggs, whatever, 2 slices of whole fat cheese and a slice of bacon, whatever it would be. Like
like you can do it with Dunkin', you can do it with Starbucks. It's actually a lot easier than you would think. So yeah, you just have to like prepare. So just look it up before, and then if it fits and that's what you want to get, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and going back to what Noelle said too, knowing that you can eat everything and then saying, do I really want this? Is this really what I want? Am I going to waste 35 grams of fat on a bacon, egg, and cheese? Or should I modify this and not get the cheese and maybe just get because I really want the bacon, so maybe just do the bacon and egg whites on a bagel or whatever it is, making that substitution on the fly based on what you actually want.
That's what I was going to say. Even if you're stopping at like a fast food, say you're passing Wendy's and it's the only thing around, just as you're ordering, just be like a little mindful. Well, okay, either get the grilled chicken instead of the fried chicken, or get a hamburger, but maybe just tell them don't put the sauce on it, or don't put the extra cheese on it, or don't put any cheese on it. And maybe only get a small French fries instead of the large French fry. And if you get a sweetened drink, usually maybe don't get the sweetened drink. You just like think a little as you're going in, because everybody's on the run and you have to be able to just live and walk into somewhere spur of the moment, especially if you're running around at work or kids. So that's what I found. I've just kind of thought about, okay, I have to go into Wendy's. I really don't like the fried chicken anyway, but I really want a hamburger. So let me get the hamburger. Normally I would get cheese and bacon on it, but I'm going to skip the bacon and the cheese and I'll just get the hamburger, lettuce and tomato, and I'll use ketchup and not secret sauce or whatever they put on it.
And it's good to keep in mind that restriction is going to lead to binging. So if you really want to have something, say you really want like chicken nuggets from Wendy's, like it's the end of the world if you don't have it, then have it. And then maybe later that night you'll be like, oh, but I really enjoyed like my rice cakes with yogurt. But now I can't have that anymore. And maybe I shouldn't have ate that. So you kind of figure out like, oh, maybe I really didn't want that. Maybe it was just like the thought of it that like inclined me to do that, but maybe you don't, you'll figure out things like little things like that that'll help you.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, like I was even a little taken back that Noelle mentioned Wendy's, because I just associate Noelle's progress without Wendy's. So even I fall victim to these things too. I eat Chipotle pretty regularly. I had cannolis yesterday. You would never, like, I own personal training places and I'm eating cannolis. It doesn't make sense, but you have to kind of remember this is how you're able to kind of check this box every day and do it consistently. This is how I've been able to do this for over 10 years consistently. So you got to keep that in mind too. Any other questions, comments, concerns? These are good. These are really good. I'm liking the way this is flowing. Kristen, what about you? You look like you got something to say.
I'm a teacher, so I always have something to say. No, I was just gonna tell her too, like snack wise, like I see like sometimes I'm at work, like I eat a big breakfast, like I have most of my protein for my breakfast, like in my shake with the yogurt and everything like that. Then lunch, I kind of keep it, a little light, but then in between lunch and dinner, sometimes like 4 or 5 hours. So I'm like, I need a snack. And like, I don't always have time to prep. So like, I'll either like the turkey jerky because it has protein. I try to make whatever the snack have protein because I don't meet my protein I'm not always meeting my protein. I'm still learning. I'm really new. So like a protein bar, I don't know if you guys how you feel about that, because I don't know what ingredients wise, like if it's too much chemicals or I don't know, but I have like protein bars or date bars or turkey jerky like in the bag. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I do have food. And then I'll go in the bag and I'll grab a snack, like just in between lunch and dinner, because otherwise you make a bad choice sometimes when you don't have like something there. And those things are like easy. You could even like measure out the turkey jerky, put it in a Ziploc. I have like 3 Ziplocs like that in my backpack. And then when I'm at work, I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. I'll just take that. So
awesome.
It's like a quick prep thing, you're not really like spending too much time, and there's always like a healthy choice there. If you have like, just put some in your backpack or your bag.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good point. I love that. Always being prepared is always success is a planned event. I've always said that. So I'm going to use my mohawk as a little bit of a shark's fin here. I'm going to pick on someone if no one hops off. So somebody better, I'm coming, Jaws. So somebody better unmute and ask a question. Nothing? No one's got questions? Jerry, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. You know my issues. I'm good.
All right, cool.
Like for instance, so I got something like I would do. So like if I don't really eat the fast food shit, excuse my language, but I don't hit the McDonald's or anything. But if I'm working and it's crazy and I would go to McDonald's, let's say, I would get 2 double cheeseburgers, but I would toss the buns right away. And I would just eat the meat and be like, all right, at least I got some protein out of the meat and some fats. And I would toss the carbs. That's something like I would do if I was like forced into hitting a fast food restaurant because I was running around and work was busy or whatever it was like that.
Right. And again, if you wanted the bun, you could have it. It's just a matter of like
right.
What you want and what you don't want, which goes back to what Noelle said too. Just, okay, I really don't I want to save my carbs for something else later. So that's what I'm going to do. Or, whatever, like in that case, okay, I want the bun today. So,
I'd rather save my carbs for a beer. So
there you go. Exactly.
That's what makes more sense to me.
So I was just typing this, but I figured I'd just say it. The internet is full of so much recipes. Like you could easily go online, like say you're craving a bacon, egg, and cheese or pizza. You can go online and like search up how to make protein pizza, and it's that simple. So like if you're really craving something, just do some research, go out, get the stuff, make it, and it might end up tasting good. You might end up really liking it.
I'm too lazy to do that, but yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'm not fancy. You're fancy with your food. You take all these fancy pictures, Jamie, your little spoon. I can't do all that stuff. I don't know. To me, I just need to eat and keep moving. But everyone's different. But she's 100% right. 100%. Anybody else have any questions? Dina, you good?
I'm good. I do have a question about the protein bars. What are your general feelings on bars? I mean, I tend to need quick things too. I mean, just because of work and running around. So I found these 1 protein bars. They're called Think. They have like 20 grams of protein in them, but I mean, I do end up sacrificing, I can't remember, I could look it up in a second, a good chunk of, my fat for that. But to me, it's almost worth it because it's quick. It fills me up. I'm not hungry for a good couple of hours and I get a good chunk of protein in there. But what are your general feelings on that, on the bars?
Jamie, you want to take it? You're like biting your lip.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Jamie had coffee today.
I know. It's difficult because I feel the same way. Like it'll be very high in protein, but then also very high in carbs or very high in fat, and it's kind of hard to like kind of find what fits.
Right.
But if like what Tom just said, I think it was Tom, yeah, what he just said in the chat, like just planning out your day is gonna help a lot. So like in the morning, I'll take like 5 minutes to just sit there and be like, okay, how does my day look? Am I gonna be like rushing? Am I gonna be running around? Can I fit this protein bar into lunch? So you kind of just have to like plan it like that and just do some like research online and maybe just find like keto protein bars. So like lower in carbs or whatever works for you best. But if protein bars work for you, then do it. But it's definitely better just to have like a meal. But if you can't, then you just have to find a way to fit those protein bars into your macros by planning out beforehand.
And sometimes they're helpful just because it gives you that. I love one bars. They have a blueberry cobbler one, and it's like it's a sweet treat. So it kind of fills another
awesome.
spot. Also, you get protein, but you're also getting your little sweet craving. So sometimes I'll have one in the morning instead of a blueberry muffin. But it's really tasty and it's sweet. Or sometimes in the afternoon with a cup of coffee, I'll grab a Quest bar, and it does the trick because it's like a brownie and it fills you up. You're still getting your protein. Yeah, it has more carbs and fat, but it's really doing double work. You're getting your protein and it's filling that little snack craving that you got.
Agree.
Put the Quest bars in the microwave. They taste so good.
I know. I always forget to do that. I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Sometimes for too long though, and then that's not good.
Yeah, and then it burns.
Go ahead, Steph.
I was just gonna say, sometimes when I'm desperate and I don't want to do the bars because I'm out of like carbs, I'll go to 7-Eleven and they have like the 2 hard-boiled eggs and they have like a little package of pickles or a package of nut. Like I mean, it's desperate sometimes, but I feel like I'll do that instead of a bar if I don't want to do all the carbs. So there is that.
Good. Yeah, there's always options. You guys always have options. You just got to look for them. There's always an option there. I want to just comment. Tom's been dropping some nuggets in the chat here. So I don't know if you guys have seen that, but Tom said, notice how everyone's issues require planning. Making planning a strong suit is going to help you a ton. I agree. I've been saying this for like 10 years. Success is a planned event. None of this is going to happen on accident. It's all going to be because you are planning things out and you're saying no when you need to. Okay.
I think another point of that too.
Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I think another point of that too is like setting your expectations with what you're going to do. So like if you know you're gonna be on a road trip, you should probably know that like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to stop here, here, and here. And I know that like 7-Eleven usually has like some mediocre choices of food. They have good protein bars, they have good coffee and stuff like that. Don't expect like a 5-star like delicious meal that's going to be good for your macros, or something like Chipotle where you could pick and choose what you're going to add to it. You kind of just have to say, all right, well, I'm going to stop at a gas station. I think the most realistic thing that I could get that's going to help me is a protein bar and maybe like a water or a seltzer just to hold me over until I get to where I got to be. And then even if you want to plan ahead, you could still do that, knowing what your expectations are for where you're going. So like even like gas stations and stuff like that, or you know, wherever it may be, they have like packaged vegetables, packaged fruits. Like that's a pretty good way. And they have, you know, beef jerky and stuff like that. That's a pretty good way of getting a futuristic view of what you're walking into before you actually go into it.
Awesome. Roz, you have any questions? You've been quiet.
No, I'm naturally quiet, but no, I don't have any questions. I'm just observing. Like I said, I did pretty good last week. I've been on this journey for about 10 days now. And the first couple of days, it was really a struggle. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like I said, I had my protein, I had my water. And Friday night, I was going out. I knew I was going out, and I went to a Mexican restaurant. So I did try to look up things that were not as bad to eat. So I decided to go with fajitas. But my problem is Friday, I did a protein shake for breakfast, and I had a salad for lunch. And we went out around 7, and I was very hungry. But before I left around 5:30, I had a yogurt to try to hold me over. And by the time I got to the restaurant, and it was a large party, and by the time we got seated, I was so hungry that when they put the chips on the table, I started eating the chips. And so I actually only had 10, you know, which is not as bad as it could have been, and salsa. And I ate half of my fajita meal. But when I came home, I just felt so dejected. I felt that I had like blown my whole week. But when I put my everything into fitness app, I really wasn't over by as much as I thought I was. But you know, so my focus has definitely changed, and I don't like to cook, but I'm finding myself doing a lot more cooking now because that helps me control. And like Sundays, I like bacon, and that's the only day I allow myself to have bacon. So I pretty kill my plan for the whole day in the morning. But then the rest of the day, I'm like going into fitness app and saying, does this fit? No, it can't fit, and I'll take it out. And so I've been, you know, making it work.
Good. See, one of the things I actually want to, you mentioned about the chips. So like, you know, this is why going slow is also very important, because I like I said, I inhale my food. My mom calls me a seagull. Like if I would take 3 chips at once, and that's 1 bite for me. So the simple fact that you had 10 is, you know, that's good. So you have to kind of make like, and think about these things too when you're doing it. So if you're going to eat the chips, have 1 at a time. So it takes longer to finish it, as opposed to like what I do, seagull it and just kind of shove it all in.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I took the salsa and I put it on there, and I took like 2-3 bites out of 1 chip. But normally, like you said, I would have put 3 in my mouth or like just been dipping. So, you know, it worked. And like I said, when I did it, I wasn't that far off. So, but I think the next time I go, I'm going to try to eat a little bit more during the course of the day, so I won't be as hungry when I get there.
Good, Roz. Awesome. Perfect. All right, guys, let's get back to Sunday. So thank you all for coming here with us. If anybody has any other questions, just feel free to message me as always. And I appreciate everyone coming on here. Noelle, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And good luck, everybody. You guys all can do this. Believe me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not a strong person. I never had willpower before. You guys can do it. Just follow along. And what you said, Roz, that's amazing. That's a lot of progress. You went out to eat and you thought about it. You only had 10 chips and you only ate half your feet. Like you thought about it. Before you wouldn't have thought about it. You just would have ate it all. So that's a lot of progress in a short amount of time. That's huge. So good for you.
I'm trying. I want to be like you.